Hey, 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 crafters. It's Judy Klock here at Stampin' with Crafty Clock, coming to you tonight for another little demo. I'm kind of continuing on my whole theme of a kind of a farewell tour or one last look at some of the stamp sets that I like that will be retiring as of May 1st. Some of them are on limited items whenever we have a catalog switch over. Retiring items are always as supplies last. But today we're going to take another look at Dragonfly Garden, and I'm trying to hold it so that silly ring light doesn't cause too much glare. But I love this set because it's got really pretty sentiments. I really like the font on some of them, and it's got the matching punch to go with the dragonfly. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do, again, we're always going to do two cards. One will be a simple stamping card, and one will be a little bit more stepped up. And tonight I've got a fun kind of pocket card for our stepped up card. So for our first card, we're going to use not only the retiring stamp set, but the retiring Blushing Bride and Mary Merlot. Very sad to see Mary Merlot go. It was one of my favorite colors, but there's so many new colors that are coming that are going to be so pretty. I think we're going to be okay. So that's our first card. That's our simple stamping card. And then we're going to step it up and we're going to create this little pocket card here. We're going to use, this is the Retiring Beauty Awash DSP, or Wash and Beauty DSP. And we're going to just do it. So it's kind of like a single layer card. And we've got this little insert that will come out. And we're going to do it on both sides, because if you want to write a little note, you've got this portion back here to write your little note. So this is just kind of a fun little take on, if you have lots of leftover designer series paper, this is just kind of a fun little card, get that wing on top, that you can make with some of your designer series paper. So let's go ahead and get started. For our first card, we're going to need a piece, of our Blushing Bride that is 8.5 by 5.5. I've scored it at 4 1/4. I've got two pieces of basic white here that are 4 by 5 1/4. Got a piece of the Awash and Beauty designer series paper that is 4 by 1.5. And then I've got a scrap of the Mary Merlot that we are going to use the Dragonfly punch. Now the Dragonfly punch will carry over. So if you have the punch, this punch will still be in the new catalog. So let's go ahead and get started. Excuse me, I've got something in my throat. I'm going to stamp in our Mary Merlot, and on our inside piece, I am just going to stamp sort of this range of dragonflies. There's like a flight of dragonflies. I don't know if that's the actual term, but it's about 5 dragonflies kind of in flight. And I'm just going to stamp that in the upper right corner. And that's all I'm going to do, because this is a thank you card, and I like to leave my thank you cards blank so that I have room to write my note to the person that I'm giving it to. All right, let's move that out of the way. Now we're going to stamp. We have the very long floral image stamp, and we're going to stamp that. I'm going to ink this up again. I'm keeping everything in the Mary Merlot ink tonight except for that large dragonfly. We are going to stamp him in our basic black, our tuxedo black. All right, so I've got that inked up. And I'm going to place this kind of close to the top on the left side, and I have ink all over my fingers, so I need to be very careful now. Okay, notice I'm not rocking it, I'm just pressing. Got a great image there. Let me move that. And I'm going to say, thank you for your kindness. Okay, and again, I'm going to just stamp that up here. All right, we've got all of our stamping done on this card. That's all we're going to do. Make sure I don't get ink on my card. So let's go ahead and start assembling it. So we're going to add our piece to the inside. It helps if you take the cover off the Stampin' Seal before you use it. It makes it work a little bit better if there's no cover on it. Duh. So I don't know if you saw my post a couple of days ago, and I think I posted on Sunday, about how my catalogs had kind of taken a cross-country tour on their way here. They started out in Utah. They kind of took a little side trip to Boise, which I didn't understand. Not that Boise's not a great place to go. I just didn't think my catalogs needed to go west before they came east, but they have finally arrived. So if you are not currently working with a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, leave me a comment and I'll reach out. And hey, Claudette, and we'll make sure that you can get a copy of the new catalog. There's lots of good stuff in it. All right, so we've got that. Now I've got here a piece of our designer series paper. I am just going to put that right on the bottom there to kind of just cover up that little bottom. And this, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. I just kind of wanted to have a little extra something there. And I thought this piece was kind of keeping in our sort of chromatic color scheme. We're not introducing, a lot of colors. All right, now I want to punch out one of our little dragonflies. And I don't know if you realize this, but when we use our punches, I always use them, and most people use them with sort of the like upside down, because this way you can see where you're punching. Now, it doesn't matter so much for this little guy because he wasn't stamped, but when you have a stamped image, you'll see that's really going to make a very big difference. Now, before we add him to our card, I'm going to kind of bling him out. We're going to add some of our small little rhinestones to him. Okay, let's move this over here just for a minute. All right, and we're just going to add a whole bunch of rhinestones, right? We're going to give him like a rhinestone body. Okay, and the putty end of our pick tool is perfect for moving and setting these little rhinestones. Just perfect. Okay, and maybe one more. Okay, so now we've got our little rhinestone dragonfly, and I'm going to use I have some mini dimensionals here, and I'm really just going to use one kind of on the center of his body because he's pretty tiny. I'm just going to add him to our card front. Doesn't really matter where you put him. Just go ahead and add him. And that is our first card. So really a very simple card. Really, it's just the addition of that punch that kind of, I guess, would make it a little bit more than just stamps, inks, and paper, but it's pretty much just stamps, inks, and paper, and we use our little coordinating punch. So that was our simple stamping card. All right, let's go ahead here and let's work on our second card. Now, this is a little bit more involved. Got a lot of pieces here. So I've got a piece of our Mossy Meadow. This is a standard 5.5 by 4.25. I'm going to add a piece of our Blushing Bride that is 4 by 5.25. All right. To create our little pocket, I took a piece of designer series paper that was 3 by 4.25. So it's going to be the full width of our card. And then I just cut it on a diagonal from like top left corner to bottom right corner. And we're just going to flip that piece over. Now I realize this is kind of a one-way design that is a little bit upside down, but there's not going to be that much of it that's showing. And, you could have like a weeping willow tree where the leaves will hang down that way. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So we're going to go ahead and add those. I've got a scrap here for a large dragonfly that we're going to stamp and punch out. And I've got a piece of our Merry Merlot. This is 3.5 by 4.75. And then I've got 2 pieces of basic white that are 3.25 by, by 4.5. I will do a blog post with all these dimensions. It will be up sometime tomorrow. So don't worry about writing all of this stuff down. I will have a corresponding blog post, and I will put the link right at the bottom of this video in the description. But that will happen sometime tomorrow, probably closer to tomorrow evening. I have to work tomorrow. So I'm just going to add this right to our card front. Okay, going to try to get it a little bit even. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now for these, I'm going to take our tear-in tape and I'm going to add it right as close to the edge as I can. Now, if you have liquid glue, you can certainly go ahead and use some liquid glue. I prefer tear and tape for this just because I think liquid glue, at least for me, can get a little messy sometimes. So I like to make sure that I can just use my tear and tape. I'm not quite as messy with tear and tape as I am with my liquid glue. I don't know about you, but I create a big mess. So go ahead and let me know who's watching, where you're watching from. I'd love to see where everybody is watching from. I see Claudette as she's out on the West Coast. So it's early there for her. Always love when Claudette joins us. She is really a wonderful friend. And then I always like to see where all my other friends are joining me from. So, and if you have not subscribed to my email list, please go ahead and do that because I always send out, I want to put this one on second. I'm going to put this one on first. I always send out at least a weekly email that's got a tutorial and tips and tricks and just, kind of what's going on with Stampin' with Crafty Klock. And then on occasion, I may send out, sort of an off schedule email if there's something important going on, like if the clearance rack has been refreshed or there's a limited time sale or something, just because I want to make sure you are in the know and you don't miss any of our specials or any of our sales. And, sometimes we have a really good join special, which, if you're planning on buying, over $125 worth of product at one time, we need to talk because really the best deal then would be the join special where you can get your $125 worth of product for just $99. And I hate to see people paying full price when I know that they could save money because let's face it, we can all save money these days, right? And everybody can use a little savings here and there. All right, so I am going to go ahead and we're going to reuse our very long flower stamp. Okay, I'm going to ink this up in our Tuxedo Black, Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Okay. And I'm going to stamp, because we're going to color this a little bit too. I'm going to stamp on the one that's in the front. I'm going to stamp this again, kind of on the left side. Okay. And then on our second piece, I really just want to get like the upper portion of the flowers. Trying to move all this stuff out of my way. So I'm just going to kind of ink up maybe the first third of the stamp, not a lot of it. And I'm just going to kind of press it towards the bottom. I may go up a little higher, like this one. Should we get a bit more in there? That one's going to be a little bit higher. This one's going to be a little bit less. Okay. So now we've got that. We're going to do two more things. We're going to stamp. And we're going to stamp this in our Merry Merlot. We're going to stamp For a True Friend. I'm going to stamp that right here. Okay, and you notice I am using all different sizes of blocks because really the size of the block you have will help you not get those smudges, especially if you kind of inadvertently rock your stamps. But for something like this, I wouldn't use a big D-size block because that gives me so much surface area where I could sort of get excess ink. So I always try to have a variety of block sizes around so that when you have smaller blocks, smaller stamps, you can use a smaller block. And when you have a larger stamp, you can use a larger block. All right, so now we're going to stamp this lovely dragonfly. Okay, there we go. I'm going to stamp him so we can punch him. Okay, and before we punch him, we're going to add some color to his wings. There is a stamp. We're going to do this in another retiring color. This is So Saffron. This is also going, not my favorite yellow. The Lemon Lolly that's coming. Oh, love it. Love it, love it. You're going to love it. It's a beautiful, soft, sweet yellow. Okay, so we're just going to stamp these over. They don't match up exactly. That's fine. We just want to get a little bit of color on those wings. All right, let's punch that out. And then we are ready to finish assembling our card. All right, so here's what I was talking about. This is why we kind of stamp upside down, because now with my stamped image, I can match it up and see that I have really a good kind of like white border I moved it, kind of like a good border all the way around my image. I've got all the images in there, and I'm just going to go ahead and punch it out. That was a little bit more difficult than I had anticipated. But now we've got our lovely dragonfly. Okay, let's go ahead. We're going to do a little coloring. Now for this, I opted to use my Stampin' Right markers. So for this, I'm going to color the centers of these. I don't even know what these are. They're not really daisies. I'm sure they have a name. I just am not well versed enough to know exactly what that name is. But we're just going to color the center of our daisies, and I'm just going to kind of do both of them at the same time. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to color. So that was So Saffron. This is Blushing Bride. And I'm just going to go, I'm not going to like really worry about getting 100% coverage. I just want to add some color. So I'm going to try to, cover most of the white, but if I don't get it all, or if I go kind of outside the lines, I'm really not going to worry about it, because I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking to add some splashes of color here and there to the card. And I think that this was just kind of the right touch of color to add to our card. I got one more little one down here. Okay, now we've got these three up here. And then we're going to just go ahead and use our Mossy Meadow. So I've kind of kept everything in the colors of either our ink or our cardstock, to just kind of have everything blend. And that's really what I love about Stampin' Up, is how everything does coordinate so well. All right, so I'm just going to, again, this is kind of drying up. I'm going to have to buy a new one soon, but for today, this will be just fine. It will give me just the little right amount of green color that I kind of want. Okay, just going to add some there. So, well, this is just kind of a little, I was thinking of you card, so we don't need, well, I didn't need a big spot on the back when I'm writing. Some people may have a lot to say. I'm kind of short and sweet and to the point. I don't write a lot of flowery stuff. I just want to tell you how I feel, and, just say, hey, I'm thinking of you. I hope you're doing well. And, let's maybe try to get together soon if they're nearby, or if not, just kind of say, hey, I was thinking of you. I hope everything's going great. Hopefully maybe, in the near future, we can try to get together or do a Zoom. Speaking of Zoom, I need to get a couple of friends. One's on the West Coast and one's in Florida. And we try to do at least every quarter, do a Zoom, and it's been a while. So I got to reach out and set that up with them. It's always good to chat with friends. All right, let's add just a little bit more yellow to this front one. Let's add we're going to make some of these little buds here. We're just going to kind of dab on some yellow. And again, I'm not really being very cautious. I'm just kind of dabbing it on there and just putting a little bit of yellow on there. Again, it's just to add some color. Okay, there we go. I think we're done. Let's go ahead and finish this card up. What do you think so far? Let me know what your thoughts are. So again, this was a set that I really hadn't played with all that much. I don't know why. I guess, there's only so many hours in a day, and this one was just not one of my top 10, but it really does make a very pretty card, especially when you just add those little splashes of color to the image. I think it just adds the right amount of visual interest without kind of being overwhelming. And then when we're all done, we're just going to go and sneak this in our pocket. Okay, now I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals to our dragonfly. Okay, I'm going to He's kind of bigger, so we can add maybe some of the bigger ones on him. Here we go. Oh, I didn't that. Okay, that one is not playing nicely. Let's go ahead and add him. Let's add him. Oh, I don't know. Maybe like that. Let's add some rhinestones. And again, I love to have a little bit of bling. Who doesn't like some bling, right? Bling is good. At least I think bling is good. What do you think? Bling good? Bad? Okay. And that is our stepped up card. So I hope you like that one. I like doing something different sometimes. So I just thought this was an interesting take on a pocket card. I like the little piece on the back again for writing a little note. So I think this one is really kind of a fun little different spin on a pocket card. What do you think? Let me know what your thoughts are. And that was our simple stamping card and our more stepped up card. That's it for me, folks. Now my pre-order did come in. I am hoping to, thanks, Glidit. I am hoping to get on here Saturday and kind of give you a sneak peek of some of the pre-order. It is my daughter's birthday weekend. So Saturday, she and I are going out for like kind of a girls' day. We're going to have lunch, get our nails done. And then Sunday, she and my son will be over for kind of like our family dinner. So it'll be a little bit busy weekend, but it's a good weekend. Always good to get together with the kids, and especially when we can celebrate somebody's birthday. All right, everybody, have a great week. Enjoy the weekend. It's supposed to be lovely weather here in the Shenandoah Valley, so hopefully it'll be lovely where you are, and I will see you all next week. Bye now.